Hey everyone, welcome to my guide on how to beat the Chapter 1 boss in Armor Core 6. First we're going to talk about the gear. Feel free to skip over this if you're not interested. Now the only weapon I changed was the main weapon, and I just think it does a lot more damage than the default primary, especially if you use the burst, but I only really use that if I had to jump on someone because it's kind of a pain to charge up. I also added in this laser. I like the damage and the way it works, but you'll probably be fine if you have another rocket pod or something like that. With just the one rocket pod, I tend to run out of ammo though, and it becomes a much bigger pain. My next change from the default gear is this helmet, but I don't know how much of a difference it really made. What did make a big difference though was switching to this core, because it upped my health a lot. It made it a lot easier to survive. When I made this, I didn't have the funds to make a generator because I hadn't bought anything for a few levels, so I used these legs to make everything fit, so if you also haven't changed your generator, I'd recommend these. Another very important thing in this fight was upgrading the booster. I used this one as the cheaper one, but if you have the funds, feel free to get the better one. That's all I changed from the default gear. If you want to use more funds and spend the time to figure everything out, by all means do so. The fight will be a lot easier for you, I'm sure, but I didn't really know what I was doing, so I've just kind of been saving. Definitely gonna have to change that because this boss took me 5 fucking hours. It was ridiculous. And two little tips before you begin. First, it's very easy to be outside of this thing's range and not be hitting it with your ability, so be careful of that. And if you do use the laser, just make sure you time it right because it does stop your movement. So off the bat, a good way to avoid these missiles and to get a free hit is to quick rush in and then use a melee attack that fucks up the shield a lot and saves you some health. Be careful doing this with other missiles though, because a lot of times they'll double back and hit you for some fucking reason. In case you haven't figured out, you can do a double melee if you press it a second time, but try to save this for when you stagger it because it does a fuck ton of damage and will save you a lot of ammo in the long run. But be careful meleeing when it's flying around because it does shoot this faster missile that even if it hits the ground behind you or hits you directly, it does like 2,500 damage or something like that. And it launches it fast. Sometimes it'll even try to go in your blind spot and just drop it on your head, and it's really hard to dodge that one. And with the flamethrower in the second phase, it is even riskier. That being said, the melee does a lot of damage to its shield and again can save you a lot of ammo for your specials, which is needed down the line. Now going back to that flamethrower, it's supposed to wait until the second half of its health. It'll do that, what it just did on the screen right now, and you'll have to get away from it or it'll take a lot of damage, and then it'll use the flamethrower. It'll lead you to the side, so I'd recommend just running the opposite way. It tries to bait you by shooting at you and running sideways, but why the fuck did I say running? Anyway, it'll try to get you to do that, but there's a glitch where, maybe it's not a glitch, but if it gets health down below half before it does that, then it can use the flamethrower before you hit that second half EMP thing. So be very careful about that. It fucked me on a few runs where I just started using the flamethrower out of nowhere. So, yeah. Sometimes during this second half, I got greedy and I'd hit it with the melee, but be really fucking careful with that because if the fire hits you, chances are it's going to hit you a couple times and kill you. With that, the missiles, it's very not forgiving a lot of the time. If it even grazes you, a lot of times you're just going to die. But so I just stay away. You can just jump right over that or go backwards, whichever works for you. But a lot of times I would just stay farther away to break its shield. And then when it was close to being staggered, I'd go in for the melee attack. And quick stagger it, get the extra melee damage while it's down, shoot both my specials at it, and then start backing up in case it goes straight into the flamethrower. If you want to have more fun dodging the flamethrower, that's up to you, but if you've been struggling like I was and want to play it safe, I'd recommend just giving it some space. If this video helped you out at all, or if you think I left anything important out, please let me know in the comments. I'm absolutely new to Armor Core, so I guarantee I left out a lot of important gear things that I don't even understand yet, but good luck.